Okay, thanks, Madalena and the organizers of Digital Orientalist for giving us this great opportunity to present our project. My name is Yan He. I'm the China Documentation Center librarian at the George Washington University. So next I will ask my teammates to introduce themselves. So go ahead, Sophie.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sophie Muro, and I'm a second-year Museum Studies master's student at George Washington University.
I'm Ann Myatt James. I'm a data services librarian with George Washington University.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kai. Right now, I'm a second-year master's student studying data analytics in George Washington University.
Okay, so this is a outline for our presentations. We will first give an overview of this project and then followed by a review of the other tools and platforms we have reviewed. And then we will show you a tutorial for how to use our tools. We use the ArcGIS online dashboard and web app builder. And then we will discuss the issues related to accessibility, sustainability, and lastly, we will introduce our future plans. So this is a project that we have started since April 2020 with a purpose to provide information on existing digital resources for Chinese studies to GW faculty and students, especially under the pandemic situation when physical materials and travels are restricted or limited in every way. And actually, this is more like a meta collection for collection. And the tool is open access. We'd like to share it publicly for broader use. So ultimately, this is a interactive map with a list of collections and a lot of advanced search functions for users to better navigate resources using a collection title, subject, keywords, year range, language, format, and etc. So we have the ultimate goals to discover and promote these digital collections done by my librarian colleagues and fill the gap in existing online navigation tools. And hopefully, because the map is interactive, so even though most materials are digital collections, you can use a map to locate more physical collections to better plan your field trips after the pandemic. And then the librarians can use this tool for library instruction and the research consultations and etc. The scope of the content is mainly on Chinese studies in humanities and the social sciences. The metadata collecting is a key, which is the most critical part for our work. We use the format, general format includes text, image, sound, video, and the data set, and we try to use controlled vocabularies and professional categorizations for each field. I can give you one example. We have been changing the categorizations for type of host institution several times, and this is our current version, because initially we only included academic libraries, and then we expanded our scopes to public library, museum library, community organization, and even professors' personal collections. And for the format, first we only included library digitized collections, and then we filled other form of digital collections such as the oral histories, documentaries, films, sound recording, maps, data sets are very critical. And professors in Chinese studies also suggest us to include DH projects, which is definitely the theme for this conference. So now we have all of these formats included.
So before developing or in the process of developing out the platform, we started by reviewing a number of different examples of tools that we found as sources of inspiration for the work. And then we also reviewed a number of different possibilities for platforms. We looked at things like Google My Maps, Data Wrapper, Tableau Public, ArcGIS Online, Mapbox, StoryMap.js, Carto, leaflet, as well as Neatline, which is a sort of add-on for the Omeka platform. We looked at these against a list of requirements and nice to haves, and among those things that we were prioritizing had to do with ensuring the long-term sustainability of the tool. So we were really interested in seeing and making sure that library staff with a basic understanding of GIS and as well as no computer programming experience could easily update and maintain the tool. We are very much interested, given the scope of the collections, in multiple language support, especially for English and Chinese as first starts. Platform stability, we were looking at whether or not the platform could support the designs of things that we'd found as sources of inspiration, that tooltips or pop-ups could support things like text links, and again, the multiple languages, and that the tool was accessible for people with disabilities or had a VPAT. Among all of those different platforms that we looked at, ArcGIS online at the time appeared to float to the top. There were a number of different limitations. The largest one was with the multiple language support, that at the time, a lot of the tools did not sort of fit the needs that we had there for the entire list of requirements. You go to the next slide. So before we start in with the tutorial, and we're going to get to that here next, we just wanted to share a few of the successes that we've seen so far in actually developing out, building, and providing this tool out for folks to use. So since April of 2021, we've had over 17,000 Twitter impressions from a post that we made on the day of DH. That was in late April. We've had over 2,600 interactive map views, so that would be the sort of desktop version of the tool, and over 1,600 search app views. And the tutorial here will show you all and sort of explain the difference in those two sort of view options. We've been invited to be featured as a live example on Esri's community websites, and Esri, of course, is the vendor that provides ArcGIS Online. And we've been listed as a library resource at several library resource websites that are associated with Harvard, University of Pittsburgh, University of Notre Dame in the United States, as well as several other institutions.
To demonstrate some of the features and functions of both our dashboard and our webpage app, we have prepared a tutorial. Welcome to our mapping tool. In this tutorial, I am going to walk you through some of the features and functions of this tool to show you a little bit more about how this can function to aid researchers. So here at the top, we have our filter options, which is institution. You can click on all. Welcome to our mapping tool. In this tutorial, I am going to walk you through some of the features and functions of this tool to show you a little bit more about how this can function to aid researchers. So here at the top, we have our filter options, which is institution. You can click on all of the different institutions and then start and end year, and you can input whichever start and end year you think would be most relevant to you. Here on the side, we have the collections in total. So this is how many collections we have added into the map. This will not change unless we go in and add more collections. However, this number in green, which is filtered collections, will change as you begin to filter them through the institution start and end year. And then here on the side, we have a list of collections. This is all of them right now, but as you filter, then these will be reflective of that filtered data, and it will be the same number as the filtered collection shows here. So everything is staying really consistent throughout the tool, which is great. We can walk through a bit of a demonstration now to kind of show you all how this works. So let's say start year of 1912, and right there, the filtered collections change to 79. So there's 79 collections with material that starts at 1912 or on. And then here is all of the collections listed here with their metadata. And this is great because you can just click on them and they will highlight right on the map. We can zoom all the way in, and now we get to see this collection, not in space because the collection is digital, but the institution and the potential library that it's actually hosted by, which is great. And we think this is really helpful because we believe that where there are digital collections, there's probably also physical collections. So you could start to say, oh, maybe I'm going to go to Southern California and let's see where there's some digital collections, and now I can dig into the libraries to see if there's also physical collections, and now you're planning a really efficient trip, which is great. So now if you go through, this is all the metadata we've collected, and we have collection title, institution, some of the start end years, subject, there's a description as well, and then you can also go directly to the collection through this link, which is super handy. And here, this is where you'd browse to actually go through the collection. So there's a direct link to our map to the digital collections, which is really handy. And then if you were just wanting to kind of click around after you did that search for start year of 1912, you don't even need to go into this list. You could just see where all the pinpoints show up, and you could click here on the map on this little pin and get the exact same information. Moving over to the right side, this is a new data visualization we're excited about. So this is the breakdown of collections by their type of host. So most are hosted by academic institutions like a university library. There's also research institutions and other kinds of libraries, and independent collections. So those are maybe a professor has digitized some things personally, which is really helpful. And then you can click on these little pie wedges and get that filtered number of collections represented here. And if you were to zoom out on the map, you could also go into, okay, which ones are held by an academic institution versus, independent too. And then if you move up here, we have our advanced search and browse function. This takes you directly to our webpage app, which we are so excited about, because not only can you access the exact same information on our dashboard, but actually from your mobile device, laptop or desktop now, so you can research this information on the go. Now you can also do really advanced keyword searches. So using the keyword, you could search for a specific format, a specific place, a specific person, or a very specific theme, such as maybe missionary themes or the Cultural Revolution. So we think that's really helpful. And I do want to mention the map functions the exact same way, which we'll go through, and you'll see that once you start to filter and you click on a collection that's represented by the filter, it will zoom in and it highlights. In this case, it's blue rather than fuchsia, but exact same idea. So you can do institution, we could say Columbia, apply, and now we get all of the same metadata, same information. It's highlighted there. We can go all the way on a virtual trip to New York here. It's highlighted on the map. Search and browse. You can do subject area, so that we have history. You can do a number of different options, as you can see here. General format, which is what we've separated. So if you're saying, oh, I'm looking just for photographs, you'd probably go into image and try and filter that through there. And then if you wanted to do the keyword, which is where you can get really specific for this, I'm going to just say missionary, apply, and oh, look at that. It'll take you, all of these that are highlighted in blue have collections with content related to a missionary theme, which is great. And it's the same if you want to click more info, this will take you to the page itself, like on the dashboard, so the direct link, and then it actually will also zoom in for you on the map, and you can look at all of those same metadata pieces of information as on the dashboard. And then here on this side over here on the right, we have a QR code. So if you're seeing a collection you're thinking it's not represented on the map, but of it, please either scan this QR code or click on this link right here, and you can provide that feedback and let us know that there's a collection we should add. And then if you have feedback just about the tool in general, please also kind of think about considering taking this survey so that we can make our tool even better. We are super excited about where the tool is now, but we're excited to continue to improve it with your feedback.
Okay, so as we mentioned, this tool is open access. You can now only add our URL to your web page. You can also embed the search tool and dashboard into your web page, our library research guide. So on the right side, this is the code, HTML code. So if you have interest, please email me and I can share it with you. So for the width and the height, you can adjust it based on your need. So this is the dashboard. You can embed it into your web page as well. We have to warn you that because this is just a collection for collections, so all the level of accessibility of these collections are subject to the host institutions. You have to pay attention. They might change the accessibility based on their own policy. Some are fully digitized and fully accessible, but some are only partially digitized or have a limited access. It could be available on-site use only, or maybe today they are fully open and tomorrow maybe they set some restrictions, and also copyright issue related, etc. And then for the digitized images, and some are with very high quality and some has very low quality, you might need to request the high quality by contacting their librarian. And some pages only give you a limited number of images with limited view of metadata, and some might have technical issue loading information forever. We will try to update information. So if the collection is purely unaccessible, we will remove the information from the tool. And we also hope that you can keep us updated if you find any issue.
Here on this slide, I will be introducing some of the useful ways of using Python in our project. So Python is an open source application that is really useful for data cleaning and processing. We use Python to analyze our metadata in many aspects of our project. So first, we have used Python to check for invalid and missing data. We want to know why certain fields of our metadata are missing and what is causing that data to be invalid. So after fixing and mixing data, we perform statistical analysis on target variables to try to see the distributions of the data. As you can see on the bottom side of this slide, it is one of the Python functions that we created to check for the validity of collection links that we have collected in the metadata. So by running the Python function, we can detect which links are not working at this point, and it will be really helpful for us to always keep our data to be up to date. Next, please. So on this slide, I will be talking about one of the very useful applications, and it is called the Social Feed Manager. So the Social Feed Manager is an open source website-based software which is hosted and operated by the George Washington University libraries. So the GW libraries develop the software to support the campus researchers about the social media. So it harvests data from some free public websites, including Twitter, Tumblr, Flickr, and Sinan Weibo. So you can export and download the data from Social Feed Manager in separate formats, including the CSV, Excel, and also JSON file. So in general, the social feed manager can be very beneficial to researchers, students, librarians, archivists who need to collect social media data. Next, please. So here we have some simple steps to introduce the use of social media, a social feed manager to gather Twitter data for the 2016 US presidential elections. So as you can see from the left side of the slide here, the first step will be on using to define the topic or the theme of the collection purposes. So as you can see, the example that we're using is this 2016 election. So then you will be moving on to the second step for choosing the options of adding the collection data here. Based on the drop-down list, you can add any of these options, including the adding Twitter search, the filter, the user timeline, etc. So all these actions will return with all the tweets that matching with the filter criteria. You then move on to the third step by adding seeds to the collections data. This action will let the system to filter out the tweets based on the keyword tokens that you have inputted. And the last step will be we need you to turn on the social feed manager so that the system will start working on gathering the data, and they will also export the data to a desired format once the data is ready. Next, please. So here we want to talk about how the use of the social feed manager can be really beneficial to our project in the sustainability aspect. So again, we use Python to kind of like conduct some of data analysis on the exported data that we receive from the social feed manager. So after loading the CSV file in Python, we again perform some of the statistical analysis on target variables, trying to make a better understanding on the distribution of the data. Then we trying to create a value count function to kind of check for the frequency of the hashtags used for the data set, which with a descending order here. So as you can see from the right side of the slide here, the screenshot is an example of how we use the social feed manager to get the most frequently used hashtag in our searching field. And eventually we were trying to locate some of the possible digital collections from the tweets based on the filter hashtag that we have conducted earlier. So yeah, next please.
Looking forward, we hope to continue expanding the geographic scope of our collections from the US and Canada to the rest of the world. We also want to continue cleaning and clarifying our metadata so it's as helpful to researchers as possible, as well as continue to enhance searching and browsing capabilities, especially through keyword search. We also, with the help of you all, will continue to collect recommendations for digital collections on Chinese studies and to gather feedback from users like you. Through the survey on the right, you can scan the code or click the link below to explore that survey and give some input. And then finally, we have recently partnered with 2 German institutions, and we hope to use that partnership to continue to add collections in Europe.
I think that's the end of our presentation, and we welcome your questions and feedback. Thank you.